Okay, trendsetters, we are back with another little chat with the hat, and we have Bailey Sweeny, TCR driver for HMO, Hyundai Motorsport Organisation. Is that the
Oceania.
Oceania?
That's what Oceania, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's close.
Right.
Hyundai i30N hatch, and he up until the last race last week was leading the championship, and we will get into that right now. G'day, Bales.
There we go.
Mate, I'm going fine. Thank you for taking the time. A bit late, I know, at the moment, just to have a small little catch up about wrap up from last weekend up at
Yeah.
Queensland Raceway. We all caught up for a bit of a race weekend. So fill us in.
Yeah, it wasn't so good on my side of the garage, but it was a good weekend in general for the whole speed series. So yeah, it was a good weekend.
You're going to have to give us more than that.
About my weekend or the whole speed series, or what do
No,
you
we'll
want?
start off. We'll start off with last weekend anyway. We'll just address with that, like qualifying on the front row for
Yeah.
race one on the Saturday, and
We had
when
40 kilos for the weekend, so we weren't expecting anything too special. But yeah, we ended up qualifying second. I think only a bit over a tenth behind Brown, who had no weight in one of the quicker cars in the field. So we're happy with that. And then in between quali and race one, it kind of went away for us with a bit of a battery issue, and then not making the grid for race one. Starting from the pit lane, the car turning off, and then jump started again. Circulated for the whole race just to get points, and then we got disqualified after the race for jump starting the car. So that was a bit of a low point, and that meant we had to start off the back race 2 and 3 because of progressive grid. And we got through to ninth or something like that in race two. And we tuned the car up for the final one and got back to fifth. So yeah, we had definitely pace in the car, but yeah, just a few things out of my control when a race. So.
yeah, well, you were definitely the second fastest car in TCR's last weekend. Will Brown in his little Audi, for once, didn't actually fall apart on him.
It's good to
Actually
see.
had some real pace, and not having 40 kilos sitting in the passenger seat really gave him a bit of a leg up. But like you said, you're only 0.1 second behind him with your ballast, with your performance ballast. Just explain to some of the viewers and slash listeners how the ballast works.
So globally is TCR BOP, so balance of performance. So all the cars obviously have the differences with the power or handling or braking. So they're all evened out in that sense. At the start of the year, they're a big test day and they give this car 5 more kilos or take 10 mil out of this car ride height just to even the playing field. And then also there's drive success ballast. So depending on how good you go the round before in qualifying, depends how much weight you have for the next round. So pole gets 40 kilos, and then it kind of depends how far you're off pole for everyone else. So you can be in 10th and have 10 kilos, or you could finish third and have 10 kilos. It's kind of just how close you are to pole, and there's algorithms overseas that they work out to come to that conclusion.
Yep, fair enough too. So that's a sliding scale that goes round by round, the driver's
Correct.
success
Yep.
ballast.
So yeah,
Yep.
the BOP, so balance of performance on the cars, has changed at the start of the year, and if they tweak it mid-year, if they think they need to. But yeah, the drive success weight is done from round to round. So you qualify, and then the next round you get the weight for the whole weekend. So
Yep. So would that mean, seeing as you qualied front row,
yeah,
uh, race
ridiculous.
results. So when we move into Sandown in a couple of weeks' time, are you still carrying that weight?
Unfortunately, yes. So yeah, we qualified in the front row, second row. Didn't get to the grid. Started last weekend, had an average weekend, but yeah, we still carry 40 kilos because it goes off quality times. So
Yeah.
it was
Yep. So
unfortunate.
it is unfortunate because regardless, you can just go out and bin it, or in the same as your situation, you have a problem with the car, have a mechanical, and you can't even make the racing, and that's irrelevant. You're still going to carry that success for quali in the next round.
Yeah, it should go off the race results and quali results, but I'm only
Yeah.
upset it's hurting me. But
Yeah.
most of the time it does work. So
Yeah. Fair enough too. Fair enough too. Well, that's all right. Well, you already know you're giving Brownie a shake up, and he's got no weight, so you're already there.
next round
So
he'll have 40 kilos. So it's 40 kilos is definitely a couple of tenths, depending on the track, how long it is, and the nature of the track. But yeah, normally I'd say 2 to 3 tenths. So and we've had weight in the car every round this year, other than Tassie, because that was the first round. So
Well, hang on. If Brandy qualified on pole, wouldn't he end up copping 40 kilos
So he'll have 40
stand out?
kilos. He'll have 40 kilos, and we should as well, because we were
Yeah,
only 10. So
yeah, yeah. Oh, well, that'll be an even playing field then for you.
yeah,
Well, maybe
yeah,
one time both of you two can have your cars actually operational together for
yeah. I
this
think I
year.
said that. I said that in one of the interviews. Like, I've been looking forward to battling Brownie all year, coming into the year. Like, it'd be quick, and then he had his issues, and then we finally got his car sorted, and then my car's decided to go a race. So I'm sure we'll
Look,
get to bang doors with him sometime this year, hopefully.
at some point,
Yeah,
hopefully Sandown in a few weeks, which will be on the is it the 8th and 10th? You guys are down?
I think so. Yeah,
I think it is.
something like
I think
that.
it's a
Yeah,
week before the supercars are there.
I'm not sure on their calendar. Could be.
Yeah, I think it's a week before because that's also the weekend up in Reef McCarthy and the V's are going up for the Nationals at Warwick. You guys are clashing, unfortunately. TCRs are down in Vic and the National V Formula V round is up in the same weekend, the weekend before supercars. So
Come down to
yeah.
Sandown then, will you?
Well, no, I was already committed to go to Queensland. So
Bummer.
I'm gonna have to watch you guys on Stan, unfortunately. Which is a real pain in the butt. So we kicked off this. So this will be round what 5 for you guys coming up.
Yep.
Yep. So the first 4 rounds kicked off in Tassie. You had a free hit down there because the Audis broke their drivetrains. Both axles
Yep.
snapped off. Steering the axles drive shaft snapped. So you had a free hit down there. Cleaned up down in Tassie.
Yep.
Then
That
where
was
do
going
we
to be a
head
good
off to?
weekend as well, because we had a tyre test down there. Brownie and I were matching times on the Thursday, then the Friday, and then quali were pretty close. So it would have been a good weekend to battle them. And then there's issues. So
Yeah, and then after that it was over to PI, wasn't it?
Phillip Island, yeah. So we had 40 kilos for that weekend. We kind of went to a track that didn't really suit our car with the high flowing nature of it. So we stayed inside the top 5 all weekend, and we also had a bit of a launch control issues. So we struggled there a bit with that. But yeah, top 5 all weekend wasn't too bad, especially for the championship. We kind of just maintained our position towards the front, and we actually extended our lead that weekend. So it's pretty good.
Was that when Oliphant brought the Lincoln Co? Was that when that debuted?
Correct. That was his first weekend in the Lincoln Co. Yeah.
And the Cooper, I think, turned up as well. Clementi had
Correct.
the Cooper.
Yep. So there's
Yeah,
two new makes on the grid that weekend.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, very keen to have a look at those when they first turned up. See how
Mm.
because they're dominating over in Europe. Those
Yeah,
those
the
makes
Lincoln
of
Co.
the Lincoln Co is killing
the
it.
lead in the World Championship at the moment. So they're definitely a front running car, that's for sure.
Yeah. So then after that was Winton. I think you had a pretty good shout out down at Winton, didn't you?
Yeah, so we qualified second. I was on a lap to go like 4 tenths quicker, and I got held up. So we definitely had the quickest car for most of the weekend. So P2 in quali, and then race 2 were P2 as well. After dropping back on the start, we chased down Michael Clementi in the closing lap.
That's the reverse type 10 grid race though, isn't it?
Race 1.
No, race 2.
Yeah, race 2 we started ninth because we finished second.
Yeah.
And then we got through to 5th or something, I think. So we made a few spots. It's just hard to pass around there. And then the final race, we started first because we had the best combination of points, and then we finished first by
Yeah, you
like
just took off.
15 seconds or so. So yeah, we just showed our pace in the final one. So
Yeah,
it
and
was
you got
kind of there,
and you
but we didn't really get to show it until then. So
well, no, but when you took off up the field, so we were watching it on I wasn't there because I was interstate and I was watching it on Blendline and I was just like going, well, you can't even see Bailey. He's getting no
yeah,
airtime because he's just gone like the length of the
yeah,
straight. But you'd missed out on all that carnage behind with Josh and Clementi and Suter.
yeah. Made for some good TV anyway. Their carnage, but yeah, we were way out in front. I think we had might have been an 18-second lead by the time they had their carnage. Like most laps were a second lap quicker than Josh, and he was in P2. So yeah, was happy
Yeah,
with
then
that.
all hell broke loose coming at it. Was that 8 or something? 9 out of 9 or something?
Into the third last corner, they had
Yeah.
contact. Tried to redress into the second last corner, and then Suda was coming through with a full
He tried to cherry pick it. He
pace.
went, oh, I see what's going on here.
Hmm.
Tried to come in around on the outside of him, and nah, that's not happening.
Yeah, Suda was pretty lucky to keep on the track, but Michael wasn't quite so lucky. So yeah,
No, he was fast too. He was
weekend
looking.
over.
Well, I think he was looking for getting a second spot then.
Yeah, Josh was kind of a bit of a elbows out, holding everyone up at that point.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's fighting off hard. Well, he's getting a handle on his new car, trying to
Yeah,
get speed out of that since a little bit of a slower start than they thought at the start of the year down in Tassie.
they had issues at Tassie, but other than that, the
Yeah,
rest of the year the
turbo.
car's been pretty top notch. Like
Yeah.
they, the rest of the year the car's just been tuning it and that, but everyone's the same, so everyone can get more out of it.
Yeah, cool. So looking forward then after the Sandown raid, and we go straight into the World TCR rounds, one at Sydney Motorsport Park Friday, Saturday night, and then back to back we roll into Bathurst for the Bathurst International. So give everybody a bit of an understanding. It is a bit confusing for the uninitiated how the eligibility works for the world final at the end of the year in Jeddah, and
Yep.
how world round ranking points work different to the domestic points.
Yeah. So there's two ways you can qualify for the World TCR World Final. It's either you do the World Tour and you can the top 15 from that series qualify, or there's also world ranking points. So every driver that races in the TCR category around the world gets points when they race, and then they put on a ladder. So I think the top 45 go from that, and the top 15 go from the World Tour. So 60 drivers overall go, and then it's just a shootout, a one-off weekend that gets decided a world champion. It's a pretty cool format.
But you're telling me the other day that there's a bonus system for racing in world rounds. You get a
Yeah,
multiplier of your finishing points.
it does get a bit confusing when you go into that stuff. So there's a multiplier depending on how many cars you got. So obviously more cars the better. And as well, when you have the World Tour racing in your local series or national series, whatever you want to call it, it's a points and a half, obviously, because they're in the race taking up some points, so they're putting some more points on offer as well. So, but unfortunately for us Australians, the cutoff for the World Tour and the rankings and all that is the 30th of September, and all the award rounds are at the start of November. So
Yeah.
it's for us.
So we miss out on the potential of getting some extra bonus points or like 1.5 points per position for our two world rounds because we're outside of the eligibility cutoff.
There is a few guys that are on the cutoff, kind of looking a bit sketchy to make it, but I think Will and I are looking reasonably safe. Like the top 60 make it, and we're I think 40th and 45th at the moment. So like we got a bit of breathing room, but if we do have a bad round at Sandown, we could definitely drop out. So the extra security of the ward rounds would have been nice.
Yes, for sure. It just means that when you and Brownie go wheel to wheel, you can't actually go wheel to wheel. You're going to have to give each other a little bit of space just to preserve your opportunity to get into the final.
There's definitely a bit of caution on my side of being in the championship. There's definitely no caution on Brownie's side.
No, he's well
Who
out the
wants the race
championship.
wins and only race wins.
He's got nothing. He's just in it to win it or bin it. Like he's in it for fun now.
Yeah,
Plus well, the only thing he's got to protect is his standing, his world ranking, so he can play
yeah.
in the final at the end of the year.
The world final is definitely something he's interested in. Like even at Phillip Island, he's considering not racing when the car had a bit of issues because if you don't race, you can't lose points. So he's almost thinking of pulling the pin just to secure his world ranking points, which is pretty.
Yeah, and there's no chance of you like declassifying yourself last round either, is there?
What do you mean by that?
Well, you know how when Brownie failed, he just didn't race. He didn't
Yep.
lose any positions, didn't lose any points because he didn't get classified.
Yeah, so it works in your last 20 races. So
Yeah.
if you have a bad race, it replaces whatever race you had 20 races ago. So by not racing, he just kept the points that he had.
Yeah. Like Winton, like not going to Winton, he doesn't lose anything because it's still the last 20 rounds.
Yeah. So even like a few guys like Jay Hansen, Dylan O'Keefe, they're still pretty high in the world rankings. Because obviously they haven't raced this year, but last year they still got all their points from then. So I think you have to wait. It might even be 2 years or 18 months before your races start to get deleted from your last 20 races. So all those guys are still up in the points for now.
Yeah, so they're hanging around for a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Cool. Well, that's pretty sweet. So you are shooting off to Adelaide and the Bend this weekend, yeah?
Yes, just in a spectator form and a dad picking up truck form.
Yeah, sounds like a fair road trip.
Yes, got a fair trip ahead of us. So it's what 10:30. I'm going to get up at 3:30 to head to the airport in the morning.
Yeah, I'm going to not hold you up much longer, mate. We are
No,
almost
no,
done.
not saying that. Not saying that. And then
Well, I
we're
spoke to Reef. I spoke to Reef last night, had a little wrap up chat with him, and he's on his way to Bali for the next 10 days. So he's sitting there
all
getting
right.
his hair braided at the moment and drinking cocktails.
Ah,
Uh,
it's not a bad place to go. The girlfriend and I went there start of this year, so it was nice.
yeah, he just wants to get out of Melbourne weather too, mate. It's not much fun down here at the moment. It's cold. It's wet. It's cold. It's windy.
Doesn't sound the best place to be. Bali sounds much nicer than that.
Yeah. No, 10 days in Bali wouldn't go astray for me right now, I can tell you. Right. So thanks for the info about the TCR and your quick wrap from last weekend. You've got
Yep.
eyes forward for the last 3 rounds of the calendar this year.
100%, yeah.
And you and Josh are now sitting 1 point ahead of each other. Oh, Josh is 1 point ahead of you in the championship. And I think it's like 80 something points between the top 8. And
Yeah, there's definitely a close little gaggle there. So
yeah, everyone's going to move. There's going to be a lot of movement in that top 5
yeah,
in the next few
like
rounds.
I've heard a few people say championship between me and Josh. Like you think that on paper, but like I reckon on the weekend I probably lost 60 points of what I could have done for the weekend, like just through our issues. So like
How
if I
much
hadn't
can
done
you get
this,
for a round? What say you quali on
so
pole and then you
so 10 points for quali,
yeah,
50 for race 1 and 3, and then 40 for race 2.
and then it goes down in
I'm not sure exactly the point increments, but for finishing 13th in race 1, so basically last, just circulating around, I would have got 25 points.
yeah,
So
and
like you just have to finish no matter what.
and then your extra quali points of qualifying second, you get
7 points, I think it is. So it goes down from first to fifth, I think, in quality get points.
yeah, right. Yeah, so you cleaned up 32 points, so it was actually worth scrubbing a set of greens off just to get around anyway.
But I ended up getting disqualified for race 1.
Oh, that's right.
So that was out the window. So we buggered a set of greens in that session, just putting
That's
around.
right. You did bugger it. Yeah.
Lost the front row start and got disqualified for our efforts.
Yeah, that was post race. You wouldn't have even known.
No, it was only because we jump started in the garage and then we sat it in the pit lane, end of the pit lane, just have it running because we didn't want to turn it off because we had a dead battery. The alternator just running the car, but the car's actually got a compressor to run the gearbox, air shift gearbox. So when I'm sitting at the end of the pit lane, I've grabbed first gear and the compressor's turned on and turned the car off. Too much voltage for it. So then the mechanics have to run over and jump start it again. And of course, the scrutineers were looking in the window at that point and said,
And said, not for that.
yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
Very nice of them to let us race the whole race though with issues and then
And
2
then
hours.
then have the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously we're gonna try it. Like
Yeah. Yeah, you got to give it a go. Give it a crack. It might work. You never know.
yeah.
I mean, the hard part was having to sit there and watch the recovery vehicle tow you back about 14 meters to your pit. They weren't allowed to push you back
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
because you'd already jumped the line. Like you'd already crossed the actual line, which meant you're
Yeah.
technically already on the circuit. So
It's just silly.
even though it was just a bunny hop, you only gone forward about 2 meters.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
well.
Oh, well, look, that's racing, bud.
Yeah.
You can't win them all every time. Something's
No.
going to go sideways. So better get that out of you now. Now you know you got a new battery. And huge
Yeah.
thanks to the lady who came out after the Tillies game in her jammies to
Yes. Budget batteries in Brisbane. Hit them up.
hit them up. Yeah.
It's a special battery, one that sits on its side and has all these different terminals and that. So we're like, what are we going to do? Like we're mocking something up that was dodgy overnight just to get us going. And there's budget batteries in Brisbane had this battery, and we met him 10 o'clock on a Saturday night after the Matildas game in a jammies, and she gave us this battery that was perfect, spec for spec the same. So it was happy days.
Yeah, that was a win. Like you didn't get many on the weekend, but that was definitely one of them. You did get a win.
That's for sure.
And just before we knock off, mate, I got to say a huge thank you for the hot lap that put me in on the Friday Arvo. I had a completely different appreciation of what I anticipated it was actually going to be like driving in one of your cars there compared to I'm used to the rear wheel drives of the Gen 2s and the Gen 3s. I've done plenty of hot laps in supercars. But that front wheel power sliding out of corners and stuff is a completely different feeling.
Was that the biggest thing that got you, or the handling, or
The
what?
handling, yeah, it was the understeering. It was the the front wheel drifting. It's just a different sensation. You
As
have
in, like,
to attack the
driving
corner in a different manner.
driving through the corner with power on, like the high speed
Yeah,
stuff. What?
yeah. Driving through the corner flat to the floor and skipping the car as it wants to move from the front rather than trying to catch it from moving around the back.
Yeah, because our cars are set up with heaps of rotation because you want to be on a straight line as possible when you got the power on. So that's good in a tight corner. When you're in a fast speed corner, it's a bit skatey, it's a bit sketchy. So obviously you got power down a little bit. It calms the car down a bit and keeps you on a straight line a little bit better.
Yeah, no, completely different sensation. It's cool as hell. Oh, you still got to send me the footage too
Yes, I do have to go into that.
when you manage to have a chance and dig that
Oh,
out.
you'll have to be at Sanyang because I didn't get your clip off it, unfortunately. I saved them all, but I missed your one.
Oh, is it still in the car?
Yeah, still in the car.
That's right. We'll do it at Sandown. That's fine. It's only a little while
Yeah.
away. Yeah, cool. Well, yeah. Once again, thanks for that. That was an
No
eye
worries.
opener. 100%. It's
Been a
absolutely
big
nothing like what
supporter.
I thought it was going to be like.
You've
A
been a
lot
big
more.
supporter with your name on the bonnet and
Yeah,
wherever you can. So yeah, appreciate it.
yeah, it's all right, mate. My name will be there for as long as you're in it. So, good luck to you, and hopefully we can get you some more and more as we go along. And I know that a lot of people on the Erebus page, Erebus Army page, the Facebook group, keeping an eye on what you guys are going on with as well. Like
Yeah, it's been awesome.
they're all keen to keep an eye on the TCR page as well that Dave Hodges runs. Everyone's paying attention now, so you're getting a little bit of a crew, a little bit of a following there.
Yeah, it's been good, the support.
And you got merch. I'm wearing the shirt. Wearing the
Yes.
here we go for the ones on
Looking
the
good, looking good.
ones on the YouTube. We're going to watch this on YouTube or Facebook. So this is Bailey's new shirt, the big old 130 on the back.
They've been
So
good. They've been
yeah,
they've been going like hotcakes.
yeah. Well, while I was staying by your garage, there was just a stream, constant
Yeah.
people coming up and asking about your shirts and buying them, walking out and putting them on. So
Yeah. It was good to see them around the track. Every second person seemed to have them on. So
yeah,
insane.
I mean, I don't want to say I was surprised, but I was actually surprised that
Yeah. Don't
walking
worry, I
down a
was
turn
surprised
one
too.
on the hill, and there's like a dozen like Sweeney
Yeah.
shirts just walking around everywhere, going, "Hey, this is feeling pretty cool."
So I think the first batch we ordered might have been 60, and we're like, oh, this will last us. Queensland and that. But most of all the good sizes were gone before the Queensland ran, like just through Facebook messages and that. So I was like, shit, I have to order again. And then we almost sold them out before we got there. So they were pretty much gone on the Saturday, I'd say, or the race meeting. So
Yeah, it's good stuff, mate. Get another batch, bring them down to Sandown.
yep, they're already coming. They're already on their way.
Yeah, good to see. So speaking of that, before we wrap up, who's your biggest competition? Like the top three guys you got to keep your eye on up and down your lane.
Don't go past Josh. Like Josh has been pretty quick all year, and the Elantra is a mighty strong package. Like overseas, they're
Can't call
right.
it an Elantra.
Sorry, I thought yeah. Politically correct for Hyundai Australia. Sorry about that.
The Hyundai i30 sedan,
Yeah.
which is an Elantra.
Yeah, Elantra overseas. That's where I get confused. Like, I thought we bought it all over the past year or two, and then yeah, it's i30 and sedan in Australia. So the sedan is a very competent package overseas. So, and it's proven well in Australia as well. So that's going to be a hard package to beat with Josh and the sedan. And I don't know who you say behind it. Like there's Cameron, who's been obviously a very good operator, but how the Peugeot goes with reliability every season, they normally tend to have a few issues here and there. So he's still in the mix, and obviously Alberto, like he showed his form last year, consistency, and his racing smarts, just finishing every race and wherever he can pick up a few good results, and he's always there in the mix. So I think bar a tire failure, which was out of his control as well at Phillip Island, he'd be even closer. So you can't
Or
rule
even
him out.
bag it in a coxie, because apparently that goes
Yeah.
well for you on the
Yeah.
socials.
The impact is definitely his fault, but the reaction from Cox, I don't know. I can see it. You can be heated in a post-race interview and that, and say some words and that. But when you do a post hours afterwards, I don't know. It's a bit dodgy.
Yeah, chill out, mate. Have a cup of tea.
Yep.
No need for books of feuds. I mean, we're not.
Yeah.
We're not running
Something
book of
like this,
feuds here. So,
there was some pretty
um,
big wins as well in that.
oh, of course, there's always Willie Brown there, not for the championship, but as far as race wins, he can
Yeah,
poach some points off you.
100%. Like obviously not in the championship picture after his dramas, but like if you had to start the championship now at the end of the year, you think he'd nearly be one of the favourites. So
Mm. Well, it's all been exciting. The racing's been fantastic this year. It has been door to door. It's getting a bigger following at every single round. Every round I go, the crowds are growing and bigger and bigger and
yeah,
bigger. And there's a lot of enjoyment just out of the categories you guys are racing with, as well as
yeah,
your category itself, just literally the battle packs and the strategies and the top 10 reverse grid on race two really does
it's exciting.
take it up and create some really good overtakes and some really good racing.
Even as a driver, the top 10's like very, very cool to have. Like it just mixes the whole order up. Like you could be having a stellar weekend and you kind of finish fifth the weekend, and then the reverse top 10 throws a spinner in their mix. Or you could be finished 10th in race one. You've been gifted by God a front row start.
Welcome to Brad Harris, who
Yeah,
managed to fight off Will Brown and Aaron Cameron for the entire race. That was the
he did a
drive of
proper
his career.
Yeah, the reverse top 10 grid race, I was like, oh, he did a good job to finish at the front, but like when he backed it up with the third in the final race, that was proper impressive. He did
Yeah,
a very
true.
so
Yeah. No, he had
you see,
a one out of the box.
you see a few winners like Oliphant and that pop up at Winton, like a good result, but like reverse top 10 is very, very much a gifted result. Like if you can be in front and be half quick, you can hold him off. So
Yeah, and
but
that's the
race
thing.
three was a very impressive. Like he passed TD and pulled away. So
Mm,
if you're in the same car and doing that, you're doing half all right, that's for sure.
yeah, exactly right. And I think Tony's getting his car for the
Yeah.
world rounds
So
and his
I
new
was
one.
talking to him a week, and I think he's going to come over with the wild card. So obviously, there's talk of actually two Hondas coming over. So yeah, it could be three Hondas coming over with his. So it's pretty exciting to have all those wild cards coming over. It's going to be. I've heard from a lot of people that are interested in it as well. So not only people that are in the sport. So it's going to be very cool to have them out here in Australia.
Well, it's going to be fascinating to see how you guys stack up against the top 9 or top 10 TCR
Yeah.
drivers that are
So
putting their hand up to come over. So
there's 9 confirmed. I think there's a second Honda driver that's coming, which I'm not too sure about. And there's talk of a few other guys coming as well. So I've heard up to 14 World Tour cars coming over, and I think we should have at least or around 20 Australian cars. So it's going to be definitely a decent grid over 30 cars, I'd reckon, for those 2 rounds. So it's going to be awesome.
yeah, and 8 of those 10 have never seen Bathurst before, so that's going to
Yeah,
shake them up a little bit with the walls and having 20 cars around you.
yeah. I think at Sydney they'll go pretty good. Like there's a pretty
Yeah, it's an
kinetic.
open circuit.
The Saturday schedule for Sydney's looking pretty insane. I think we've got practice 1, practice 2, quali 1, quali 2, race 1. Like that's a pretty back-to-back schedule. Not time for him to debrief and get the car tweaked in, but
Oh, that's
it's
Friday.
yeah.
Yeah, Friday night. Yeah,
So it's a 2-day weekend, but what they've done is Friday, a
Friday,
normal
Saturday, isn't
Friday,
it?
yeah, Friday, Saturday, but a normal weekend schedule, the Friday and Saturday are just the Friday. So we've got a double day basically on Friday.
Yeah,
So it's going to be crazy.
it's
So,
a big load. Yeah.
yeah. And then the Bathurst, like the guys that have been there before will be all right. Obviously, if you've been there in a GT car, like most of them have a TCR car, you'd be fine. But if it's your first time there, holy moly, they're going to be in for a shock. You can't compare a simulator for that place, that's for sure. I think Teddy Clarent, I think that's how you say his name, came over last year from France for the Bathurst International. And first practice session, he was 7 seconds off.
Mm.
And he's like a top 5 TCR driver at the World Games last year. So he's no Gumby, and he was 7 seconds off. Like that's proper slow.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you don't breathe from Griffins all the way to Forest Elbow.
Yeah. Apparently his eyes were hanging when he got out of the car. Like he couldn't believe it.
Yeah. No, I'm keen for that. That's going to be a massive weekend, both of them. So I'm up there for those two. So yeah, unfortunately, I won't catch up at Sandown, but I will see you up at Sydney and Bathurst. I'm on Windex duty up in Warwick for that weekend. So, well, my mate, I'm going to let you go to bed because you got to get up stupid o'clock in the morning and go get a truck and then go. You got your beanies. You got to take your beanies and your raincoats, mate, because
Shorts and t-shirt.
it's yeah. Go on. Yeah, and I want to see photos that it really happened. Yeah.
No worries. I will commit to it.
Down at the band, down at like 7 o'clock in the morning, 7:30 in the morning when those S5000s kick off.
We might not be there at 7:30, but I can guarantee around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I'll be in shorts t-shirt.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, probably still in the bed. All right, mate. Good luck at Sandown. Enjoy the bend. Send us heaps of pics and enjoy the drive back. Just
Will
don't hit
do.
those roos on the way back.
Should run a truck.
Big bull bar. Good bananas.
Thanks for your time. It's been
All right,
good.
mate. Talk soon.
Catch you.